What's up, guys? So it's been about a week and we're tearing the bike back apart again. I didn't realize when I was doing my last video, I apologize for constantly coughing, but I got that bug that everybody else has that won't freaking go away. But anyway, this is going to be, we're going to split this video up into two sections. We're going to do two mods at once. First mod is we're going to change the bracket, the aluminum subframe bracket under here. That mounts the TOS. There is a new revised bracket, and Kyle from Forever Rad, I'm sending him this bracket because he needs to chop it up and do something for one of the builds he's doing. So rather than him buying a brand new bracket, I'm just gonna get I have the updated one and he's gonna get this old one. So that should be here today. The new custom exhaust that they're making without the hangers and the new style is getting finished up. It's not really high on their priority list. They have other customers and they're really swamped. I'm not in a big rush. As long as it's here before Daytona, it doesn't matter. And then TNA is still working on the back brackets. They're almost done. And he's also working on a front fairing. So I might get the front fairing before Daytona, I'm not sure. We're putting 17-inch wheels on this. So Steve Chamberlain over at Screamin' Fab, he's the one that makes the brackets for the FTR fender to fit on this from Kyle. He posted up that he had wheels and tires and rotors for sale on the Facebook page. Wasn't planning on trying it, but here we are. So the rotors already came in. These are big, beefy SMT rotors. They're a little bit larger diameter than the stock rotors. So it comes with all the hardware. For the wheels, he had a set of SMT wheels on his 2023 Challenger that he ended up selling. And so what he's doing is taking the wheels, the new SMT wheels he had on that, and he's going to put them on one of his Harleys. So with the nice thing about SMT wheels, they're kind of like the Roland Sands wheels that I had on this. They're a 3-piece, so you can just bolt different hubs on them. And the center section wheels are interchangeable. So he's sold me his old Harley wheels with his new Challenger hubs installed on them, and those. So in my train of thought and thinking, I needed a tire before we go to Daytona. So I figured instead of spending a couple $100 on a tire, why don't we spend a couple $1,000s on a set of new wheels and new tires? So with the 17s, I think it's a 255 that he has on the back of it, and then I forget what size is the front, but the overall diameter of the tire is very similar to stock. The front is almost identical to stock. The rear should be theoretically about 0.25 inches taller, or half-inch taller, I can't quite remember. So the bike should sit perfectly the same. Shouldn't need to move the fender down, and it shouldn't mess up the ABS or the speedometer. I've not seen a Challenger with 17-inch wheels on it for the street other than all the King of the Bagger stuff. So this might be the first one. It might not work. That's a gamble I'm willing to take. So since I'm going to do all this at once, to take that bracket off, I have to take the fender off. And to change this tire out easily without dropping the suspension pin and going through all that and lifting it way up, I'm just going to take the fender off, and then that way I can just slide the tire right out and then put the new tire back in. So he dropped them off at UPS today. They should be here on Tuesday. And so we'll straighten that up, and then I can just put everything back together, and then whenever the exhaust comes in, I don't need to take the whole bike back apart to put the exhaust on. That's just going to be quick and easy. Alright, well, wheels are here. I was a little frustrated when they came in. No fault of Steve, but the back tire was completely flat. He had talked about putting valve stems in it, so his tire guy, I assume, put the wrong valve stem in it, or pinched the O-ring or something, but it's completely flat. So luckily, I had a 90-degree valve stem. Unluckily for me, it was the wrong size, so it was like the Japanese spec. I think it's like 10 to 11 millimeter, something like that. Bigger than this one. Of course, I didn't have a drill bit that big, so I had to remount the hole, and obviously take the tire back off. So got that in, tire back on, got the disc on, and luckily no leaks yet. So obviously, here's the rear tire. We went with a 255/17 for the rear, so it should give a similar height profile to the stalker. The front wheel, we knew that the bearings notchy in it, so I figured it's already off. I'm just gonna put new bearings in it. This is proving to be a little bit of a pain to get off. So got the bearings in the other day, so the new bearings are sitting in my freezer, so they should pop right in as long as this is hot enough. For the front tire, we went with a 130/80/17, so as you see, it's a much thicker profile. And then obviously, we'll throw these rotors on. What I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna weigh the tire with the sprocket and everything on it, and the rotor on it, put it on the scale, and then put this one on, see if these are any lighter than the stock wheels. We'll do the same thing for the front once I get these bearings out. No reason to videotape this, because there's tons of YouTube videos on it. But basically, get yourself a pulling hammer, slide hammer, put it in the bearing, heat the outer race up, bearing will pull out, freeze the new bearing, heat the outer race, the bearing will flop right in. So we'll get rotors on and the bearings out. All right, tires off. I got the other bearing out and in, and now we're gonna let that sit for a while. So rotor, sprocket, let's see what we got here. So 51.2 pounds. Put that off. And I'm gonna work on getting this off and transfer it over there because I can't do it with one hand. All right, pulley's back on. So that was 51.2. Same. That's funny. Well, so machine wheels aren't that much lighter than stock wheels. You know, obviously the tire's a bit thicker, so there's more of that, and it's a 17 versus 16, but zero weight savings. However, the cool factor is up. If you are doing the toast bracket, don't tighten these all the way, just snug them up until you get this bracket on, and then tighten everything up. And yeah, and then tighten these two. So anyway, and you see, it's thick, it clears, and obviously check the belt, make sure it's pretty much riding right in the center. It's good. With these wheels, I had to, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little spacer here because the disc sits inward a little bit. So spacers go there and it doesn't use your hardware, so SMT provides all that. So the rear is buttoned up. That's finally down, cooled down. We've got our new ABS bearing in over here, and then our new bearing on the other side. We're gonna throw the rotors on, and then we'll do the front, and then I'll start putting the fender and everything back together once we get everything buttoned up. All right, let's see if the front did anything. So you're at 38.4. .4. It's crazy how much extra rubber. Obviously the rotors as well. So I really didn't do this as a weight saving thing. But if you line up the two wheels, you'll see that they are almost identical in overall diameter. But thin lip, thick lip. You probably go to a little bit smaller, so when these tires wear out, I might switch the size that's on my FTR, except use Bridgestone T32. I think they're HGs, so like with the big tour bikes like the FJRs and all that stuff. That's what they run. So it would be a little bit smaller of a profile in the front, but that should help to make turning a little bit quicker. But we'll see how these do. Since they came with the bike, they are going to stay on the bike until they're worn out. So let's throw that back on. We'll get on the ground and see what it looks like before we put all the stuff back on the back. And there you have it. So it's just sitting on tires. So it's a little bit bigger profile than I anticipated it to be on how it looks on the bike. Hopefully the fender fits. Really hope so. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to re-drill and tap new holes to lift it up a little bit. But they do give you these fancy new hardware. and spacers, since these rotors are bigger than stock. And surprisingly, these things come off easier with these wheels than with the factory wheels, even though the rotors are bigger and the rim is smaller. So let's get this fender on first, see how it looks, and if it fits, then move to the back. Alright, there you have it, all put back together. I don't know how I feel about that front tire and its thickness. It might grow on me, it might not. If I do stick a smaller one on, I can always drill the bracket down a hair more and pull this fender down. But it might handle really good, so this is going to be a hit or a miss whether this works, as well as the ABS. So let's cross our fingers that we don't get any ABS lights. But overall, pretty happy with the look. It is kind of nice that you can see a little bit more of the wheel back here. Just means I'm going to have to clean it more. But it fills out the fender quite nicely. Remember in the other video where I had this painted black, this is kind of why. I mean, most people aren't going to get under here and look at it, but the fender is chopped up a good bit. So that's why I have it painted black. I might do it to this one too. But unless you're on your hands and knees, you might not even see it. So not sure. Everything's put back together. Waiting on the exhaust and bag supports so we can do that, but none of this stuff will have to come back off. I can get to this bolt, I think, without pulling that fender completely off. The main reason I wanted to get this all done tonight was because tomorrow's supposed to be in the 40s, the roads are dry, and I'll be able to play with it a little bit. So I won't end the video here. I'll go out and ride it for a little bit tomorrow and tell you guys what I think. Alright, so it's the next morning. It's a nice, sunny, dry day. We're in the low 40s. We did get a little bit of rain a couple days ago, so I think that the mountain road will be somewhat clear. So we're going to scrub in these tires on there. Obviously new tires. It's going to take our time, but we'll go up the mountain, come down the mountain, do a couple exit ramps, and we'll see how the turn in and the flickability is. See if it's worse or better. Let's hope it's better. But let's go up the mountain. It's definitely a little bit higher. Backing out of my garage, I can definitely tell. So it wasn't too bad. Got it scrubbed in a little bit. It's a little sketchy going up there with all those loose stones on that road. Not so much on the front, but the turn-in is much quicker. The dive-in, it takes minimal effort to throw into a turn. It is definitely a little bit higher, but the Speedo is actually more accurate now than it was with the stock tire, which a lot of people have that issue. They'll stick a 180 55 tire on the back to kind of correct that because it's a little bit taller. But overall, very happy with it. Looks pretty good from the back. And that'll end the video on the 17s. So no issues. These brakes are pretty phenomenal. A lot less effort to stop. I was noticing coming down the mountain, putting on the brakes, the amount of effort that normally takes was a lot less. So that's good. It's a plus. But happy with the money spent and their experimentation. And the next video will be, it'll either be with the new Toast exhaust, which I think is shipping tomorrow, but I can't put that on without my bag mounts, so they both have to be here. So it'll either be that video or a Daytona video. See you guys.